Hey there, welcome to another Tuesday night live watch talk with Bobby Legs and friends. And joining me this evening is my good buddy, Watch Chris. Hey, Chris, how are you today, man?
How's it going, man? How you been?
Good, good. And it was a so we met finally in person
Yes.
at Watch Time, and the Watch wind up fair. I get the
Yeah.
names confused. Um, but that was a really great experience. I hadn't been to those kind of shows. Wow, I mean, like because quarantine kind of like put me out, from going to a lot of these things, and then like being so not that I'm so far away, but it is a nice little hour and a half drive into the city. So I'm not able to make a lot of the events. A lot of the events that you're able to make, and a couple of guys that we know are able to make in a city, which I'm so jealous about. But I was able to make it this time, and we saw some cool watches, didn't we?
Yeah. You're taller in person. I didn't, what they always say. I was like, oh wow, he's much taller than I imagined. Uh, yeah, I mean, that doesn't always happen, but it was a pleasant
Well,
surprise.
average Joe's taller than the two of us.
Yeah. Oh
You know?
yeah. I was surprised. Like, I met Average Joe. I met Josh Town.
Yeah,
I met
yeah,
Chris from the Watch Lounge.
yeah,
Um, of course, yourself.
yeah. Yep. Tim
Peter.
Wright was there. Tim.
Tim, yeah, I saw Tim. I've seen Tim.
Okay.
Well, he goes to all the events, so he's
Hmm.
he's he's a regular at a lot of the different events. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And it was good to see guys like that frequent art channels, right? Like guys like Peter C
yeah.
and all those guys. It was good to see them
I
as
saw
well. Yeah.
TGV as well. Or
Oh,
TVG, TGV.
I missed TGV. I didn't see him. He was at the Wind Up Fair, right? He
He's at
went
the
to
wind
Wind
up
Up.
there. I met him there. Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty funny.
I did see. I think you posted a picture of that on your Instagram account, right?
Yeah,
I think I saw a picture of the two guys. I believe I saw a picture of the two guys.
yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Instagram, uh, Chris's Instagram link to his account is in the description as well as his channel. If you don't
Thank
know
you.
who Chris is, and you should, please subscribe to his channel. He's great. Daily content, awesome content, and very happy to have him here. We'll talk a little bit more about those events and some of the interesting things that I caught on Chris's State of the Collection videos. He came out with a two-parter this past week, and if you haven't had a chance to see that, please go do so because Chris has got a very exquisite collection. And
It's really a three-parter
it's a
because I
three-parter.
did
See,
my vintage. Yeah, I
that's
did a
right.
vintage first, and then I did the two. So I have a problem. I have yeah.
Yeah, but well, look, we all have problems. We all have a problem with watches, right? So I wouldn't be too hard on yourself there. Um, let's say hello to the chat first before we get going. And this segment of go to the chat and say hello has been sponsored by. We have a new sponsor. We have a new sponsor, and it is the Kevin S. Um, Final Word. So if you guys remember, like in the 80s and 90s, the final word, right? You know how you go to in high school class and somebody had one of those and it would say some of these like, bad words and the teacher couldn't figure out who it was. Well, Kevin S has come out with a new one with a lot of the fan favorites of the micro brands are a waste of money. That watch is, you know what, you'll thank me later. And I love Grand Seiko. So anyway, guys, thank you. New sponsor this week, Kevin S's Final Word. Thanks, Kevin. Let's say hello to the chat. Chaz from the Berg, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Thank you, buddy. Good to see you. Rick is here. Rick was also at those events. I don't know if you got a chance or if you know Rick, but he's has a great collection, and he's on Instagram. He's got thousands of followers on Instagram. Great guy. Wilson is here. How you doing, Wilson? Az Clayton, how are you, buddy? Justin R. He's strapped in. Bill K is here. Keith is here. How you doing? Time Hill is here. Hey, Brownie's here. How you doing? Guys, let us know what you're wearing on wrist today. Um, Bruno is here. Hey, Bruno, what's going on? Kevin S. There he is. Hobby Bobby, what is going on? How are you doing? Jay is here. Hey, wearing the SBBN 051 on wrist. Mr. Finney's here from Phoenix, the unspeakable place from the Maurice Grossman World Time. Just a little background on that, Chris. We had our little award show last year, and for me, for the category for the biggest negative whiplash, because I liked the Maurice Grossman World Timer at first, and then like I kind of soured on it. Was that one of the world times that it that focused on was Phoenix. Like really? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Phoenix?
Phoenix,
No, no, Phoenix is a great town. Great town. It's just, you got Los Angeles, you got Chicago,
Paris,
you got New York, you know. Yeah.
Paris, Cairo,
Yeah,
Phoenix.
yeah, yeah. So
Maybe
anyway,
it's a bigger, bigger city than we think it is. Maybe
I
it's more
guess
important
so.
than we know.
I guess if you're in Germany, I guess
Cradle of
Phoenix is.
civilization.
Yeah, when the eggheads over at Moritz Grossman, they love Phoenix, I guess. Peter, speaking of Peter C, there he is. Peter C, how are you? Um, the Big Wrist, how you doing, sir? Good to see you. Joe Silva's here. James Duffy's here. Jim T, what is up? How you doing? Joey B, hey now. JJ is here, all the way from Michigan. Hey, Canadian Watch Monkeys here. Mr. Ken Spears here. How you doing, Ken? Pale Horse, hello. Um, Kyalsinen. Hello from Kuwait. Sorry if I butchered that, man. I'm sorry. Underachieving Watch Collector. Did you and Chris run across a venue and embrace at Bobby Legs Loves Watches? It's cute when you watch troopers hang out. You know, we didn't embrace, but we saw each other, right? I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know. Maybe I
it
saw
was
you.
actually very brief too. It wasn't very
Yeah,
long.
yeah. But we had a little circle, though, right? I mean, we had it. We had
It was like
Chris.
it was a little circle of just YouTubers for
Yeah,
about 5 minutes, and then we all just dispersed
yeah,
into
yeah.
the
I
crowd
think we
again.
were all like, "Well, this is kind of odd, right?" I
Yeah.
mean, So we just, yeah, absolutely. Um, Dib is here. How you doing, Dib? What's going on? Um, Rick's there. Stefan, hey, Stefan, good to see you. Um, Keith, I've heard of micro brands are a waste of money from Kevin S. many times. Oh, geez, Wilson, thanks. Holy cow! Wow, that's amazing, Wilson. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really incredible. You didn't have to do that. Thanks for all the great Tuesday and Friday nights. Merry Christmas, brother Legs. Wow, amazing. Thank you so much. Incredible. Thank you. Um, Scrolling eight. Dan is here. Hi, Chris. Wearing my new white Shogun. Dan picked up a Shogun. Very very nice. Um, Joey B's wearing the PAM 00111 on wrist. You're a big Panerai guy, right? I mean, you have several in the collection for sure.
Yep.
Um,
111 is nice, very nice.
Very nice, right?
Yep.
Um, Kevin S is wearing my mint green dial Traska tonight. Rolex OP killer.
How did you like the? 'Cause they actually reached out to me to review one of their. I think like, I think they're. Didn't they just come out with a GMT?
Did they? I'm sure. I'm sure they did. Yeah. No. I mean, Traska's not bad. I mean, like they have like that diver that is that mint green kind of look. I thought that was kind of. I think I had that on the channel for review.
I've
It's like
never seen one in person, so I'm actually curious about it.
I feel like the same place where they make Traska, right, or where they get the parts from, that they also make Laurier, right, or they get like all the
Oh,
bracelets very similar. Like they all get it from this wherever one place in wherever in the world they get their stuff from.
okay.
Yeah, but it's not bad. It's not a bad
It's
one.
glad that you told me that now. So
Oh,
Laurier, I've been wishy washy about.
well, I think Laurier is like stylistic. I mean, look, I mean, I know they you get a lot of it's derivative in a lot of ways, right? But
It
it's
is.
tastefully done, right? It's tastefully done, and if if someone likes it, go ahead and buy it. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
sure.
so like there's some other. For me, Laurier is in a class that's a little bit like mid tier micro brand. Like, I mean, like I don't hate them. Um, Not that I hate any brands per se, but Oris, but I mean, but maybe uh, you know, them and Traska, they get the same parts from the same place. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay.
Okay.
Dark Star is here. Anyone get the Christopher Ward Belcanto new ones for sale? Got the Rosa slap on looking one. So you got one. You have a Belcanto.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know if you know this, but I think they released 4 new colorways today.
Are you serious?
And
I didn't know that.
it's not on their website. And I think, and somebody in the chat can correct me, like if you missed out on the first two, on the one, the blue one and the green one, and put your name on the list, you got that email today. And so
Oh,
they came out with 4 colors, like an ice blue, which is the best at a lot, in my opinion. A salmon, like a metallic salmon, a black dial, and I forget what the other dial is. Maybe it's white. I don't know, but they came out with 4 new colorways. So yeah, I mean, not it's not totally out there. It's not on their website, but if you were on the list, I think you got that email. So you got one of the first ones, right? I mean, well, it was mailed to you, that 300 limited edition.
yeah. So I ordered it because they sent me a press release like a month before it came out. When they sent me the press release,
Yeah,
I looked at the press release for like 2 seconds, and I responded to them. They were asking me if I wanted to review it, and I said I'd like to buy it, please.
yeah,
And then they came back and they told me the price, and I literally I was just like, can I pay for it right now? And
yeah,
they were like, yeah, okay. So I paid for it, and
yeah,
so they sent it to me. So they were here in New York with a Belcanto, and they sent me mine a week after that. It was
yeah.
released week after that, but I got it the day it came out, so
Yeah.
it was good.
So what I'm getting at, where I'm getting at, is that first 300 was released, and you know, Christopher Ward comes out with this watch, something that they've never done before. It really, it's a flex, right? They did this minute repeater, this chime, beautiful watch. I got to see it at the wind up show. Somebody snuck me over and
I
showed
can
it to
go
me.
grab it if you want me to show it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, sure, sure, if you like. But here, I just want to ask you this question. So they come out. It's a limited edition 300. It's a special watch. As soon as that 300 sells out, they come out with another 300, and now they seem to come out with another one. Is there a part of you that is a little disappointed, a little annoyed about the fact that you got this first 300? It's a special watch, and now there seems to it's like a regular. It's going to be a regular production watch, which is fine, I guess. But
I was a little mad about it because of one thing. So when they came out with the blue and the green at the exact same time, essentially the same time, it was sold out,
hmm
and then the next day they ran the green.
hmm
I wish they waited on the green or allowed me to choose between the blue and the green, because what
mm,
if I wanted the green and now
yeah,
I just bought the blue? It's fine. It's fine. And if they never make that blue again, and if they
hmm
never make the green again, if they're going to go cycle through these colors, and then they just have to come out with a different watch.
yeah,
Um, it's Listen, they're a business, and they're gonna try and make as much money out of this as they can.
yeah,
And the thing is, like, I went to events and I was wearing that watch. That was getting so, like, people were stopping me, calling me over from across the room. They wanted to see it, and um, it's incredible because you don't if I wore any other Christopher Ward, if I wore a C63, which I have a C63, I love it, but if
yeah,
I wore that, no one really cares. This
yeah,
is something that brought them to a new level of watchmaking in general. It's an incredible design.
hmm
The technology that they're using is nothing groundbreaking. They've done it for other watches. They made this mechanism for Meisersinger, right? It was for their Grand Hour or whatever it's called. I forgot the Hour Bell or Bell Hour or whatever it's called.
Right.
So they made this for a different watch company,
Oh, okay.
and then they sort of repurposed it to fit into their own case and put the mechanism on the dial side. So that's what they did. That's what they were doing to create this movement. And it's powered by a Selena movement. And there's, it's nothing too groundbreaking. It just makes one ding every hour. It's not
Yeah.
like, it's not a minute repeater,
Right.
but it's just awesome. For
Yeah.
$4,000, there's not much out there that you're going to get that's Swiss made, that looks like that,
Yeah.
and makes a noise.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I think it's pretty significant for the brand. Yes. Okay. So I didn't realize that they made that kind of complication for somebody else. Anyway, be that as it may, um, it is not your average. I mean, they're not a micro brand anymore, right? We wouldn't consider them that. I mean, I don't. I think they're kind of like a little more of a step up from that now these days, right? They have regular production runs and excellent customer service. I mean, like like there's stability there, right? But so this is a huge step for a brand like that. I mean, we're not talking like Seiko doing this, right? We're talking about a brand that doesn't have that kind of economy of scale. You know what I mean? To do this kind of thing, and here they are. They've done it,
Yeah,
and so like it's awesome that they're doing it. I just feel like if I had bought one of those first 300 watches, um, I'd be a little annoyed. I'd be a little annoyed.
I was annoyed
Yeah.
for like I said, because I would have liked to have the choice between the
Right.
green and the blue. Um, I did originally think that they were not. I thought that they were going to come out with this and then not come out with them again,
Hmm.
or at least wait a year and then
Yeah.
maybe give
Yeah.
you like every year 300. I
Yeah.
mean, if they've just released 4 runs, I mean that's another 1,200 that they're going to come out with, and they already came out with 600. So now we're talking about 1,800 of these watches on the market already.
Yeah.
I don't know how special mine is anymore.
Yeah.
Unless
Do you?
they're not making those limited editions and they'll just be regular runs and they would never make that blue dial again or
Yeah.
that green dial, but whatever.
Yeah. I brought it up to some of the guys today, and then realized that maybe it's not a huge issue. I would just be worried about the push to put out more of these, like maybe something drops off quality wise, right? Maybe the finishing, maybe they're rushing through the process that you're not going to get something that is well finished as maybe one of the original 300s are. You know what I mean? But this is a bigger brand, and maybe they have that kind of scale to do it. So maybe there won't be a big drop off or a drop off at all. But that would be my other just slight concern.
But something that you said that's kind of Seiko wouldn't do it, right? But let's say Seiko did do it.
Yeah.
What would they charge? You think that they would charge $3,500? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they probably would charge more, I would think, right?
Yeah, I think they would
Yeah,
charge. I
yeah,
think they would charge. I think any other brand that
hmm
did this, even if they were using the Selena movement,
yeah,
SW200, they would be charging 10,000 for it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they really worked to keep it at a
yeah,
good level
yeah,
and offer you something that looks like a watch that might cost
hmm
$10,000 at that $3,500 price point,
yeah.
which is great.
No,
Which is great.
yeah, no doubt. Not arguing that. I mean, like it's amazing that they're doing this for the price and the design. I mean, it kind of looks like an NBNF collab with Moser a little bit. You know what I mean? Like it looks
Yeah,
like it's beautiful looking and it's got a great complication there, the modification. So, got no problem with the actual product itself. I just anyway. What watch are you wearing? What do you got on wrist tonight? I got something on. I'm gonna wait till you go first, though.
I have my uh, I have a story that happened with this watch.
You
My
tell.
my Vacheron Overseas
Yeah.
um, World Timer. So I have it on the strap,
Yeah.
but I went traveling. Went to Disney World during a hurricane with my children. We got stranded, but on the plane ride there, I brought this watch and the two straps, the alligator strap that it comes with and the rubber strap. And I had it in a Vacheron pouch.
Yeah.
And my kids' tablets were in my bag, and they asked me for their tablets when we got on the plane. So I pulled the tablets out, and I had the watch on wrist, but the straps in the bag. Pulled it out. They must have popped out and fell somewhere on the floor in the plane
Uh,
with the buckle too.
yeah.
So I I get to Florida. I'm going through my bag. I can't find it. Um, I get home. I look around my house. I can't find it, and I definitely lost it on the plane. So I was like, you know what? Let me check eBay. So this is like a week or two on. I check eBay, and someone had my exact pouch,
What?
straps, buckle, the same size, everything, and it was on eBay.
Oh. So, what do you do? What did
I
you do?
did it. I bought them back.
You bought them back? Yeah.
I had to buy them back. Yeah.
Wow. Did you tell the person that that was yours, or
But I
no?
was I was thinking about it. And I was just like, this
Probably
person.
not, right?
Well, I have no way of proving it,
Yeah, yeah,
and there's literally nothing I could do in this situation,
yeah.
and they had them for a lot. So I contacted Vastron, and they were like, for the you don't want to know for two straps and a buckle, you don't even want to know what they were asking for.
Yeah,
And I was like, you could buy a whole watch from another brand,
yeah.
like a really nice watch too. So I just looked on eBay and he had them for like $600 or $800. And I was just like, okay, I have no choice. I had no choice. I have to have them because I normally wear it on the rubber strap anyway. I would
Yeah.
have had to buy that, and I was just like, all right, I'll just buy them back.
Oh
They're mine.
man. Oh man. Well, look, I mean,
I was so mad at myself.
yeah, but at least you got it back. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
and if you had to have, gone through Barrett trying to get it, obviously you're saying you don't even want to know the price. So, so,
yeah. They,
so
they
you
wanted
saved
they
money.
wanted like $1,600 for the two straps and a buckle.
So you saved a grand.
I mean, it's like ridiculous.
I'm sorry, man. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I'm wearing the Romain Jerome. Like,
you are. I should have worn mine.
I was hoping Amin was gonna come tonight because he's got one too.
How do you
Oh
like it?
man, I love it.
What
I
made you
love it.
choose? What made you buy it?
Okay, so a couple of things. Um, you mentioned this. You mentioned this exact watch when you on your review when you're talking about it, and that was the MB&F HMX, I believe. You said it was
HMX,
one of your.
HM5 or HM8?
It, yeah,
They're
HM.
they're they're all drivers' watches. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. But you mentioned and as one of the watches that you love, and this one kind of sort of reminds you of that. So back in April, I'm at Watchbox with a group of watch nerds, right? And they host us, and we come hang out with us, hang out with them, and they brought out an HM5. I'm getting my reference numbers. It's the one with the red stitching. It's the HMX. Is it the HMX? HMX red, whichever one, right?
So the HM5 has like the louvers in the back that
Yeah,
you can open it up a little bit and the light can come through, and it has the prism in the front. And it looks like it's called On the Road Again, so it's meant to look like a muscle car.
right,
And
right,
that's why you
right.
get those louvers in the louvers. Is that what they're called? The HMX is a little bit different. It has a little bit more of a curvier shape to it. It's also a driver's watch. It's sort of the
Yes.
same, but yeah.
So it was the HMX, right? So I'm 100% sure. So I never even considered that watch in the realm of possibility. Never was even interested until I saw it in person and I watched it. Not that I could ever afford it, but I was like, oh man, this is effing awesome. I freaking love this thing. You know that and there was a Roger de there that really caught my eye. Those were the one of the two or three watches that I was really really impressed with. So um, so I had that in the back of my head. My buddy Amin has this watch, right? And I think at the time it's a cool watch. I would never get it, but it's a cool watch. It's super interesting. Um, so the more and more, so then I go see this watch, I see this MBNF, and I'm like, man, this is something that I can never afford, and why even think about it? But it's just so cool. I keep on thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it. So eventually, a couple months ago, I see this thing pop up on eBay through Watchbox, and they have a couple of them. And so like I'm watching what's going on here, and they keep on dropping and dropping and dropping the price. Then then I they send me. I'm watching it, right? And I'm like, if this gets down to a certain thing, I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, like, there's so much going on here, right? Agenor modified movement, designed by Eric Giraud, who's, designed some amazing pieces, the HMX being one of them. And so they sent me a offer. And then I was like, but it was also, I could also send them an offer, right, in return, right? So I I lowballed them, right? I just like ridiculously a price that I just knew that they were going to say no, but a price that I knew that if I sold a couple of pieces that I can cover, right? And then they said yes, and then there was a 10% eBay coupon,
All right.
and then I had like $200 eBay bucks, and so like I had to do it. I had to do it, and it's just awesome. It's just awesome. It's my evening watch now.
It's I absolutely love. Yeah, it's so good looking. And I absolutely love the watch because, like you said, Eric Giraud
Hmm.
and Angenor, teaming up. So they did make so those two brands, if you want to call them, because Eric Giraud is not really a brand; he's a person. He designs watches, but he designed this watch, that watch, at the same exact time he was designing the HM5. But he
Hmm.
did also do the HM8. He did the HMX. He did a bunch of
Hmm.
other.
Yeah.
He did one of the legacy machines, or all the legacy. I don't remember, like everything.
Yeah.
He's done so many other watches, but then Agenor, obviously, they make amazing chronograph movements and all
Yeah.
this other stuff. But they're making the movements for um, the HM5. The HM5, the only difference really is obviously there's a prism. It's a little bit different in
Yeah.
design in general, but they're using a base caliber from GP,
Hmm.
while Romain Jerome used the base caliber from Solita.
Yeah.
The only thing that means to me is that yes, you're getting a better base caliber, but it's definitely going to be less reliable and less serviceable long run. And you're paying substantially, and by substantially, I mean I don't know what you paid for yours. I paid 5,000 for mine,
Yeah.
so that's what I paid. I don't know when I don't know what you guys, but for $5,000,
Hmm.
you're going to find there. I mean, there's the disparity between the HM5. You're not going to find one for less than $40,000.
Yeah.
So you're getting a lot of that same look, the same, not the same, not really exactly the same look, but a lot of the same essence for a fraction of the price. So
Yeah. Agreed.
it is no brainer.
Yeah. It totally no brainer, and like it's so unique, right?
Yeah.
And my collection is pretty standard, I would say. Like I got a Submariner, I got a Navitimer, I got a Panerai. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden you throw in this piece, and like this, like checks. I hate. I don't want to use the term checks boxes because it doesn't really check boxes. It's just like it just takes my collection to a totally different angle, and I love that. And I only need one of these. I only need one of these in the collection. You know what I mean? You mentioned the what's the other Romain Jerome that's similar?
Subcraft.
The subcrap. I love that one too. I actually like if I see one, I'm getting one. I'll trade this in. I'll sell this in. I love the subcrap because that really reminds me more of the MBNF that I love. But that's a great watch too. And
I want
that.
both. I really love the Subcraft. I think that the shape of the case,
Hmm.
it's the same design,
Yeah.
same movement. It's just
Yeah.
a different case. The case was designed by Alain Silberstein,
Yep.
so that's the
Hmm.
difference.
Yep.
Um, it doesn't look like his design anyway,
No,
in my opinion.
looks nothing like an Allen Silverstein, right?
No, it looks
Yeah.
nothing like it.
Yeah.
It's just a name. They put a name
Yeah.
on it. I
Hmm.
think that it was probably whatever, but it's I
So
love
cool.
that watch just as
Yeah.
much. It's really
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Okay. Hey, Chess, thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you and the family, Rob. Thanks for all the fun shows this year. I really, really appreciate it, Chaz. Thank you. That's awesome. Um, let's catch up with the chat here. Uh, Wilson, Chris was expecting a bunch of short YouTubers. Uh,
Yeah. I was the shortest one, I think. Maybe Josh was. Maybe Josh
maybe,
was.
Yeah, maybe Josh was. Maybe Josh was. Yeah, great guy, Josh.
That's a great guy.
Uh, Canadian watchmaking wearing the CWC G22 on wrist. Chaz also wearing the 111. There's been a little bit of a Panerai push in my group of friends lately, and I love seeing that. Hobby Bobby, he's wearing his spacecraft in honor of Chris's presence. Oh
Nice.
man,
Nice.
Hobby Bobby, if you ever get sick of that watch, please let me know. Um, Wayben is here. Hey Wayben, he just made it. Awesome. Uh, Kevin S is saying they also make Astor and Banks in the same factory as Traska.
Ooh, I didn't know
Um,
that. Astron Banks I really like, actually. So
yeah.
that's weird. Hmm.
Bill K likes. I think they're talking about. Oh, the purple. Okay, so that was the fourth color. It wasn't white for the Bel Canto, the new release. It
Oh,
was purple, um, purple and black. KRJ, Watch Chris is one of my favorite YouTubers, watch
ah,
reviewers.
thank you. Appreciate
Speaking of
it.
Chris, here's Chris. Yo, what's up, Bobby and Chris? Wearing the blue Bulova Lunar Pilot tonight. Christmas break officially starts tonight. Excellent. Um, Keith is saying the limited colors are better than the new ones, in his opinion. I don't know. If you get a chance, Chris, that ice blue. If you get someone to show it to you, I'm sure somebody will post it up on
Did you
Instagram.
get the email? Could you forward me the email? I didn't see
No,
it.
I didn't get the email because I never signed up
Oh,
for it.
okay.
But I'll get the picture and I'll share it with you later this evening. I think I could get the
I'll try and
picture.
find it. They're probably on the internet already. You know, when
Yeah,
these things happen, they just fly everywhere. So, I'll
absolutely.
reach out to them because they'll send me.
Darcy said I signed up and got email today about 4. Okay, so he got that email around 4, and I think a lot of them are still available too. Um, Apparently, the original green and blue not to be reproduced. Okay, well, that's good news.
I would hope
But they,
not, because if they did reproduce them, then I would be mad. Then that would be cause for me to get mad because the hell, why did I buy a limited edition if you just make them? That's like there's a brand that does that all the time. I can't think of it.
um, but you know what? The blue that you got, right? I mean, that's like kind of like a blue that you would see. Not, and I don't mean this taken away from that blue. I mean that blue is like that's a color that would be like really popular. I think, right? I mean, a
Yeah,
lot of people would want that blue.
yeah.
So it's hard for me to think that they're going to actually limit that color to 300 pieces. Now, I hope they do for everybody who has one of those for their
But
sake. But that's
maybe they
I'm
didn't think this is. I mean, maybe they didn't think this through as thoroughly as we think they did, or maybe as thoroughly as they should have. Like I
yeah,
said, why would you announce such an incredible watch, show the blue dial, and then immediately release the green
yeah.
a few days later? They should have, like I said, they should have spaced this out and done it.
I agree
They
with you.
were
Yeah,
they're riding that wave of popularity of it, and
yeah,
there's
yeah.
there's people who really want it. So they're making a little bit of a mistake here and there, but it's forgivable.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they're riding the wave. Makes me think if there's anything maybe that they have on the hopper for next year. Um, or in the next couple of years that they wanted to accelerate, something, another great, kind of like function or something. I don't know. That's
They've
just
done they've
speculation on
done
mine.
like they've done jump hours. They've done
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
collaboration with Armin Strom, which was incredible. That sold out as well pretty quickly, but they never. I think that sold much slower than this. I think that
Hmm.
they've never experienced selling a almost $4,000 watch that sold out
Yeah.
within a few hours, and then a second wave of that selling out in minutes. The green sold out in basically a half hour or something like that. So I don't
Yeah.
think they've ever experienced that. When they came out with the Arm and Strom, which was a $4,000 watch that skeletonized, finished by Arm and Strom, and it was a 300-meter dive watch. All this other, it was like an incredible, incredible watch. That took like 2 or 3 days to sell out. It didn't sell out immediately.
Right.
So
Joey B, bringing up the point, when you consider the amount of research and development they put into the Belcanto, they had to come out with additional colors. Yeah, yeah, I agree with that too, Joey B. I think what Chris is saying, and I agree with Chris is space it out a little bit. Just space it out, but
yeah,
you know, who knows? Maybe they foresaw like economic conditions as well,
yeah.
and maybe they rushed the project along to take advantage of that before maybe times get tough. Um, Q8 is saying, I and many watch lovers follow and admire the wonderful content you provide. He's got to be talking about you, Chris, and we benefit from you. And nobody knows who I am. And now that your fame has reached Kuwait. Congratulations. Okay. Thanks,
I
Q8.
didn't talk
Appreciate it.
about you, but thank you. Either way, if it's either one of us, we both thank you.
Yeah. Detroit Spartans here. Good evening. How you doing, Detroit Spartan? Um, Bobby Worldwide. Okay. Um, let's see here. Glad you still like it, Chris. Darkstar ordered the salmon one. The salmon one's very, very nice as well.
I want to see that salmon one. I think the I think that's like the fad color, but
Hmm.
I just genuinely love salmon colored Dallas, so I
Yeah.
would like to see that one.
From what I recall from the image, it's not like a flat salmon. They're very. It's like your blue, right? So it's got that kind of like sun ray
Yeah,
effect to it. So the salmon is like that. The salmon is a tastefully done color. It's nice. Again, I when you get to see it, I think the ice blue is the one that is above the other ones are beautiful. The black is good too, actually. Um, Canadian Watchman Christopher Ward is between Steinhardt and Nomos, and that's not a bad place to be. All right, okay. Um, Christopher Ward will have more colors than Grant Seiko has seasons. Kevin S. using using his final word. Um, Thomas Burnett. Hey, Chris. From how's work going? Okay, the little chat here going here. Sometimes that happens, Chris. I just click on something and
conversations within the
yeah, yeah.
conversation.
Kevin S could have bought a green bell canto. He should have done it, man. Um, I would much rather drop $800 on a plane than those two straps. You did what you needed to do. Yeah.
Every time I think of it, I get like this strike down my stomach,
Sorry.
and it was like I get like this, I can't even
Yeah.
explain it, and I just deserve like I, I'm so careful with my stuff, and
Uh,
uh,
no, man. I mean, that's just a bummer. Peter C. Spacecraft is very cool. Looks great in person.
I'm going to
Roman.
drive the price up of spacecrafts because we got like between me, you, and I mean, there's like
Yeah, and Hobby Bobby has one too. You know what I mean? So he has a spacecraft and the subcraft.
they were, I mean, their retail was like 26 or
I
twenty seven
know,
thousand dollars.
I know, I know, I know.
And it's cool. I'm not going to say it's worth that price, but I mean, it's so cool. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah. It's just unique, very very unique. And like I said, I've never seen anything like it on anybody's wrist.
there is a company that are calling themselves Digitrend.
Okay.
Now, you know the Amida Digitrend, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So they're not buying the name Amida, but they're just using the name Digitrend. And they're on Instagram, so you can follow them on Instagram. And for some reason, last year they reached out to me because I had an Amida Digitrend, which I ended up selling for one reason or another. I always end up selling things and I regret it. But I had an Amida Digitrend. I loved it. But what I really wanted was an HM5 or, what I've bought now. I still want an HM5, hands
Hmm.
down. I still want that. And actually, Chris, who's in the chat from Luxury Bazaar, I was literally talking to him about. He's trying to find me one. Well, we're talking about it. So, but the point is that they're coming out with an affordable reissue of the Digitrend. So there is a Chinese manufacturer that has recreated the same module that was used in the Digitrend. So that prism and the module that sort of makes the two discs that's basically how it works. And then that prism sits on top of the disc, and then it projects basically up onto the two discs, up
Yeah.
onto the prism. So they've recreated that already.
Wow.
There's an Angels. I forget the name of it. There's a company who's done it already,
Uh-huh.
and they're going to be using that with the Swiss movement, and they're developing a case to display it in that's going to be similar to the Amida Digitrain. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. So that's actually pretty cool, and they said it's going to cost around $1,000.
Oh, not bad. Not bad. Um, have you, this brand has been getting a little spotlight lately because of Tim Masso, but Azimuth.
That's
Have you, so that's another interesting brand, right? They have some auto inspired um, watches, and I can't. I think like I like them, like this twin turbo here,
Twin Turbo is the one I like the most. The
and it's
Gran Turismo, whatever the one on the left, I'm not a huge fan of the look of that,
yeah.
but I think it's cool also. I really like the Twin Turbo.
So do I. So here's the thing, right? Here's where my dilemma is. Like, it totally reminds me of an MBNF, right? And they get a lot of their inspiration there. I've read some articles and so like I want one, but I can't get myself to get to actual to do it, right? But this, no problem. No problem. And maybe it's because same guy who designed the watches I like, has designed this one as well. And maybe that's where I can mentally, you know, um, marry the thought and just be okay with it. But this here, the twin turbo, I love it, but I just can't. I can never get myself to do it.
So it's a very good point because do you know Spanish Rob on Instagram?
No, no, I do not.
Okay, well, I think he's called Double Wristing now. He's in New York all the time.
Yeah.
There was an article about him on Hodinkee. Anyway, I see him all the time. He has the twin turbo,
Ah.
and around this, so I've always had my eyes on MBNF. I've always,
Yeah.
and it's just been, a Grail watch, hands down, one of my Grail watches. When I saw his watch on his wrist, I saw that twin turbo. Um, I I immediately said to myself, all right, let me look at how much these are, because when I saw it, it looked really cool on his wrist, a little bit big, a lot bigger than what we have. The
Yeah.
spacecraft is
Yeah.
actually smaller than the HM5 as well. It's
Hmm.
actually way more compact. They did a great job on the size of that watch. It's not oversized. It's not uncomfortable. It's actually very, very comfortable. Something to keep in mind, because the HM5, the HMX, those are larger watches, much larger.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, I saw the watch. I knew about the watch. I knew a lot about the watch. Actually, I looked at it many times. When I saw it in person, I was like impressed by the quality of the watch. I
Oh.
thought it would be a little bit less than it was, and I thought it was a very nice quality. But then I realized to myself, I was just like, this is a watch with two little ETA movements in it. There's really nothing special about the module. There's no
Hmm.
module. It's just two ETA movements. That's it.
Hmm.
That are just mounted normally. It's
Yeah.
just everything is the case on that watch,
Yeah.
which is cool. The case is very hard to do. You have a little flip up thing that really doesn't do anything. Um, awesome. For almost the same price, though, you can go and get the spacecraft,
Yeah.
which is designed by Eric Giraud.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Let's take the designer out of it, but it's the module that goes on top of that Salida movement that is literally just an incredible. Like when you see the pictures of it, it
Yeah.
looks like
Yeah.
a little spacecraft. It's
Yeah.
it's it's far better of a watch, and the design is better. The
Yeah.
the the look of it is better. Um, and of course the module. So
Yeah.
yeah,
My one only complaint about this one, and it's so not even in the realm of being important, and it's not even a deal breaker, not even close, is kind of limited with the strap, right? I mean, you have to get like something really, really thin that's going to
yes,
go there. So like you can't.
yeah,
I mean, that's the only thing. But
yeah.
other than that, like love the watch.
Also, when you tell the time, you have to go like this and then
Yeah,
go like this.
kind of, sort of, yeah, yeah. But that's
You're like
okay.
that, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not buying it for accurate time, I don't think.
No, no,
So,
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Just give me in the ballpark. That's
yeah.
okay. And you know, it's a conversation starter for sure. Um, is that a knock on other brands or a plus for Traska? Um, sorry, missed out on the. Mike France has promised they will not make any more of the blue or green El Canto. At least, okay, okay. I don't think I'm not. I'm not trying to. That's refreshing. That's good news. That's why I'm saying okay, okay. I don't think CW expected it to be such a big hit, and they scrambled to get more out there. Agreed. They wanted to accelerate profits. Uh, Amin Strom is also a partner in the manufacturing of Belcanto. Is that true? Okay. Um,
I don't know if that is the case. I don't know
hmm,
if even Chronode is actually involved. I'm not 100% sure. From my conversation with Mike from when we were at I met with Mike during the press event at Windup, and
hmm,
I met with the designer of the, and they told me that they had designed this in a much uglier form for Miser Singer because
hmm,
Miser Singer has a closed case back
hmm.
and a closed dial. It was all, it's just, you
Right.
can't see any of it. So they didn't make it pretty.
Yeah.
So what they did was the majority of the work that they did was making it look good on the front of the dial so that, it's symmetrical, and it
Hmm.
wasn't symmetrical for the other watch. And now it's symmetrical. It's really like, you have everything that they did made it look much better than it would have if they just came out with it in a standard form, in this form that they already had it in. So
Hmm.
I don't know if they worked with partners to actually create that, or if they did that in house. I would imagine they had to have partners. I don't know if it was Armin Strom. It was probably, I don't know. It was probably because it was mostly movement work, and it's not the finishing. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
They didn't mention that. They did not say that. They said they did it in house. He
Can you
usually
watch?
is pretty transparent. So
Yeah. Can you watch? Monkey say Seiko does lots of limited editions to just later make it a regular model.
yeah,
Dark
that's what.
Star had to put down a down payment. Email confirmation said the end of January we'll get an idea of delivery date. So Dark Star, hope you get that Belcanto soon as possible. Um, Dib says Chronode is the partner who's finishing the dials.
Yeah, that I think that makes more sense. Maybe I don't think Armin Strom is. They would mention it if they were, because that's a huge selling point for them.
Yeah, he's like
Chrono
one of the
is
hottest names
more.
in horology right now is Armstrong,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Thomas, thank you, Thomas. Appreciate it, Chris and Rob. Which watch release were you most disappointed by this year, Chris?
Oh, there's so many. I think I have a list of them. Hold on, let me. I was actually making a list of watches that I did not like this year. One of them was, I don't want to like, um, I don't want to like dog Seiko as much as I have been lately, and I have been dogging Seiko a lot because I love Seiko. But King Seiko, the regular lineup of King Seikos that they came out with the 6R movement. So they came
Hmm.
out with King Seiko last year. They came out with a couple of limited editions. Then they came out with a bunch of 6R movement versions this year, and they're charging like, I think it's like, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I think they're around $1,800 or $1,900 for a 6R35. And I just think that Seiko have been steadily coming out with watches with 6R35s and charging more and more money, as if they've just upgraded the movement to a
Yeah.
6L, but
Mm.
but they haven't. It's still a 6R. Put a six. If you're going to charge me 19, if this was 10 years ago, it would have a 6L. They're all of a sudden just did this switcheroo where their watches are approaching $2,000 and you're getting charged
Mm.
for the same movement. Number one. Number two, it's a King Seiko. There's nothing special about the 6R. I'm sorry. It's a great movement, but the 6R35 is not a $1,700 watch movement. The 6L
No, they were
is.
putting it in Sarbs 5 years ago for like $300. They were charging.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
what what is going on at Seiko that, and
yeah.
I guess people are just, they don't care, but you're giving King Seiko its own dedicated line. It's called a King Seiko.
Mm,
King Seiko was meant to be competition to Grand Seiko, maybe a little bit of a step below, but they made some amazing watches.
mm,
And then you put, you could talk about the finishing on the case, the finishing on the bracelet. Okay. The movement, I mean, accurate from 10 seconds, plus or minus 10 to 20 seconds or 30 seconds. It's insane. Come on.
yeah. I, I, I don't know if I'm going to be answering this question directly or correctly, Thomas, because it seems like when you asked most disappointed, like, we were looking forward to it, and then it didn't pan out, right? But for me, the watch I hated, the worst release for me was I don't know if I'm going to say this correctly, but the Oris Cloisonne enamel. It was it's an Aquas, right? And it has this enamel dial that looks like my 4-year old kind of watercolored. And it was like it's like a limited edition or special edition. It was just like the
I know the
worst
one
thing
that
I've
you're
ever seen.
talking about now, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm butchering the name, I'm sure. But terrible, terrible watch. So like, I don't know if there was anything that actually I was looking forward to, and I got disappointed. Can't think of it right now, but maybe it'll pop up. Um,
What
but
about the Deep Sea Dweller Challenge?
Yeah, I mean, like I wasn't looking forward to. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was a ridiculous release.
I
It's a
don't think
ridiculous
anybody
release.
was looking for that watch. I
Yeah.
don't think anybody was looking for that watch.
What about that GMT, the Rolex, the Sprite,
The Sprite. That's
the
another one.
left-handed.
I'm looking at my list. That's the
Yeah,
Sprite's on my list.
yeah,
Rolex Deep Sea Dweller Challenge, 50
yeah,
millimeter watch. I
yeah,
mean, come on.
yeah. That was terrible. Yeah, yeah. It's brutal. It's brutal. I mean, like like the pictures of people trying to like I don't know, like they look like they've been doctored, but I don't think they have been. You know what I
No,
mean? Like it's like,
you mean
is
the
that
ones
a
where
real
it's
picture?
it looks like it's like a giant dinner plate on someone's
Yeah,
wrist, and it's like, yeah,
yeah, yeah. Oh man.
yeah.
Uh,
That was a
okay.
huge disappointment. Not that I'm like you know me,
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest Rolex fan,
Right.
I'm kind of critical of them, especially like their latest shenanigans with the pre-owned program. I think that's complete shenanigans. I made a video about it when it came out, and then a lot of people piled on me about that.
Hmm.
I genuinely believe, and I stand by the fact that I think it was I'm in like a group chat with a few other guys that the casual watch reviews. He has a bunch of guys in his chat that they do live streams on a regular basis. And I've done live streams with them before, but I said that it was a money grab. I thought it was just absolute BS what they did, and a few people were arguing with me about it, and I genuinely think that they are just creating another tier of used, gray market, pre-owned Rolex to make more money
Mm.
and capitalize on the fact that their watches cost more money on the secondary market. They're giving themselves some rules, so it seems like they're being legit, but they're not. It's just the same. It's the same BS. That's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Curate, asking. Speaking of Rolex, um, ceramic or pre-ceramic? I'll answer. I'll go first. I have a ceramic. I prefer the ceramic. It looks great. It's got the maxi dial. Um, Not the maxi case, but it has a 41 millimeter case. I prefer it. I prefer when comparing the pre-ceramic to the more modern Rolex. I'll go more modern. Thoughts, Chris?
if I were to buy a Rolex, I would personally get a pre-ceramic.
Hmm.
I think I would go vintage in some way. I definitely would not buy through the Rolex pre-owned program, but I would buy. And you know, I want to say, because I always do this when I talk about Rolex. I love Rolex. I've always wanted to own a Rolex. I just will never. I will never buy a Rolex because I'll never pay over retail.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, and I always tell the story about when I was going to buy this watch that I have on my wrist. I was going to buy a GMT Master, and they were asking ridiculous amounts of money, and I was able to get this at a pretty steep discount. So I was
Yeah.
just like, a no brainer. So I just went this route.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would definitely go um, pre ceramic and like a 90s. I've always liked the 90s um, uh,
Settings.
Submariner. Yeah, I really like the Coke
Mm.
GMT.
Mm-hmm.
I always
Uh,
like that too.
Hobby Bobby saying, I thought Armstrong was only hired to do finishing. Um, okay, look into that. 1700 for a King Seiko, 1800 for a 6R31 movement, no date of the 6R31. Yeah, that is crazy. Um, Cash grab for King Seiko. Um, where does it? Bobby Legs loves Baltics. No, no, that's not true. That's not true. um, Congrats on the
We
Destro.
definitely agree on I don't like Baltics.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I mean, like, well, my ID surprised me with a Sprite GMT over the weekend. Was pleasantly surprised. Look, I got to admit the Choice Spartan. I haven't seen one in person. I just thought it was kind of like just a curious um, release. Um, don't mean to diss the watch. Uh,
I think Rolex came out with two watches this year that absolutely no one was asking for.
yeah,
Maybe the Sprite, right hand drive, people were asking for that, but no one was asking for the left hand drive.
right, right,
It,
exactly.
it was like weird, you know. But that's
Um,
cool. It's cool that they did that.
yeah, the Cameron exhibit in the LA museum for the Challenger was a disappointment. Was disappointing as the watch. Total money grab for the show and watch. Um, let's see. I've just realized that we're almost at an hour. I've been just going through the chat, and I wanted to talk about your collection video. Um, let's do that a little bit because you know my thoughts when watching your video is that you have a really big collection, right? But it's not a collection necessarily peppered with the icons per se, um, but it's just a really eclectic and just a well thought out overall collection. Now I know you're looking to sell some watches. Maybe we all get a little overwhelmed. Maybe want to consolidate and step up. But the Vacherons that you have are not your typical Vacherons that people get in their collections. You have a few Roger Dubys, and you have a Roger Duby that I just totally fell in love with. The low. You got to help me out with the name.
The
Um,
Monogas.
Yes, the Monogas. That watch is unbelievable. How? Tell me the story. How did that watch enter your radar? How did you get it? Um,
So the Monogas, first off, the Monogas means the people from the Principality of Monaco.
Monaco. Yeah.
Right? Like,
Hmm.
what a pretentious thing. That's such a
Yeah. Yeah.
pretentious thing. Not me. Not really, not my style. But the thing about that watch, I really think that Roger Dubuis in general, and I've always felt this way, and that's why I own Roger Dubuis. I think that they went through a transition period where people absolutely hated them. I remember wearing
Hmm.
one to Watch Time. I think it was the first watch time that I went to, and I was walking around from booth to booth, and everybody's just like, when you're looking at a watch, you're like, oh, what watch do you have on? And I said, oh, I have a Roger Dubuis Monegasque on there, and one of the guys from Grubel Forsey looked at me and goes, oof, went like that to me, and I was like, what? And he's just like, he goes, that's rough, and I was like, well, I mean, yeah, they're, I mean, I guess at that time they were, not as not that they're being respected now in any way, but um, listen, Roger Dubuis worked at Patek Philippe. He was in charge of their complications department. He was responsible for some of their most complicated watches. He went out, started his own brand, wanted to do something a little bit different from what Patek Philippe were doing. But he went about it in a really great way. The watch we're looking at is the watch that I own. It's in rose gold, but it has the seal of Geneva, not only for the the movement, but for the case as well. So the punch de Genève, it means that it's finished and the movement is at a certain level. Um, is it as good as Patek Philippe? Maybe it's almost as good. It's Vacheron has was using the Ponce de Genie for a while. I believe that Patek Philippe was as well. It's just a seal
Hmm.
of quality and a certain level of finish and a certain level of watchmaking. And I always was sort of a fan of the underdog. It's the reason why I like the spacecraft. It's the reason why I like Vacheron. It's the reason why I like Roger Dubuis. They aren't the mainstream, and you can get and watching Amin reviews and his collection, the way he collects, and he uses the word, he uses the term toxic
Luxury.
depreciation. What does he
Oh,
call it?
he's something. He's we call him Mr. Toxic, so he probably uses
Okay.
whatever term. Yeah.
So he uses a term that I've heard him say, and I don't think he has any Roger Dubuis in his collection, but I think they're a brand that would fit into his collection because they make hot horology, they make really great watches, and they are, it's the styling that you have to get used to it, or you have to enjoy it. And I've owned three of them. I sold my Easy Diver because it was just too big for me.
Yeah.
I currently have an Homage and I have this Monegasque. I will never sell the Monegasque because I think it's an awesome. Now, why did I buy it? Because number one, I love the look of the dial.
Hmm.
By the way, the dial is made out of white gold and rose gold. The rotor is made out of 22 karat white gold. You have small seconds, which is just one of my favorite looks on
Hmm.
on a watch in general. There's a bezel on here. It's made out of a solid enamel, and like I said, it's solid 18 karat rose gold. So you have rose gold crown, rose gold spring bars. You have rose gold buckle, and the dial and hands and indices are all made out of gold or platinum. So it's a very very high end watch that originally sold for around $30,000, and I got it for literally a fraction of that.
Yeah.
And I could see that watch specifically, the Monegasque, not my Homage. Maybe my Homage will. I don't know if it'll go up in price, but I could see that Monegasque going up in price eventually because the design that for that watch is really amazing.
Yeah. No.
That's
No.
all I
Agreed.
think.
Agreed. And I went down a huge rabbit hole on the Madagascar, and I just I love that watch tip. I'm totally it's kind of like a grail piece for me at the for this week, right? I mean that changes all the time, right? But I mean like this week I'm like, oh man, I'm so obsessed with that. It's just a beautiful watch, and I think and what you've done so well in your collection is that is you pick these underdogs and then you find the best examples at the best price and you've built this collection that is just amazing. And if you haven't seen those videos, sub to Chris's channel and see those videos because he's got some great pieces. He's also got some vintage pieces, affordable pieces, pieces like all over the spectrum of collecting, a wide collection. And you are a true collector, man. Like no doubt, no doubt, you have a collection to be proud of. Let's catch up with the chat. Speedy Heslite Moonwatch or Sapphire Sandwich. I'm not a traditionalist. I do love the Moonwatch. I want one. But I'm going to Sapphire Sandwich. I want to see the movement in the back. I don't want to worry about the Heslite scratching. I know people say it's not a big deal. My buddy who picked one up got a couple scratches on it. Uses polywop, but still bothers him. You know what I mean? So if it bothers him, I know it's going to bother me. How about you, Chris?
Sapphire Sandwich as well. I love to see the movement.
Yeah.
That's like part of the, you know, I don't mind the Hesselite, but I love to see the movement.
Now, would you go with a new one with the 3861 or 1860 or 1861?
The new one has a micro adjust in the buckle, right?
I think so. I mean, it's got a much better bracelet in general,
The
right? I mean,
bracelet in general is better. The buckle is much better, and I think they actually added a new micro adjust. And if anybody knows that in the chat, I believe they have. I haven't seen it, but I think they have. I would definitely go that route because that's the thing that has always kept me from, buying a Speedmaster. I mean, I have a Mark II, but
Mhm.
and I put a sapphire crystal case back on it.
Nice, nice. One vote for Sapphire Sandwich right here. Hey, Karan, what's going on? How you doing? Truth be told, the worst release was the 222, Vashon, right? No, you didn't like that one either? Oh,
I
you
like
love
the
it? Oh, you love it? Yeah,
I love
okay.
it. I love it. But I'm a Vastron. I'm a fan of Vastron.
Mm,
So the 222 for me. The price is ridiculous, but I love the 222.
yeah. I love Chris's Roger DeB watches. Hey, just the watches here. How you doing? Watch Chris and Bobby Legs. Hey, guys. Good
Hey,
to see you.
Dave, what's up, man?
Yeah. All the way from Japan, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
he's awesome. Chris, do you know if Ventura is still in business?
They are not, but they do have a website, and you can buy their watches, their old stock, and they are selling them and they are servicing. I have contacted them for service. They don't respond. So technically, I think that they will sell you a watch, probably send you that watch, but I don't know if they'll service those watches. There are a few places that will service a Ventura. Um, and if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about here, Ventura was like an independent brand from the 90s, early 2000s, that made some really amazing watches. They were pioneers in using like hardened titanium, hardened stainless steel. They used really high grade movements at the time. They made some amazing watches. I'm a big fan of theirs, and I've owned two of their watches. But they're hard to get service now.
Kevin has the Manigat. Did I say Manigat? And they said the Manigat.
Hey,
It's quite possible. Hey,
hey,
hey, I love that Manigat.
little gabagool, huh? All
Hey,
right.
Chris, you make the best Manigat. Yeah, okay. Uh, sell the sub, get the Manigat. Okay, all right, Kevin. Okay. Um, Not Ace Ventura. Yeah, sitting in my car, about to go grocery shopping. When I saw you guys, now I'm going to be late getting home for lunch. Uh, man, well, Chris, thanks for coming on tonight, man. I really, really appreciate it. Again,
Thanks,
guys,
man.
the link to Chris's channel is in the description as well as his Instagram. Follow him, in both spots. Oh, hey, Thomas, thank you so much. Have a cracking crimbo, everyone. Yeah, happy holidays, Chris. Hope you have fun with them. Is there
Thank you.
is there anything you're hoping? Let's wrap it up with like anything you're hoping that Santa brings you this year, and what are you looking forward to next year, pickups wise?
So
Yeah, everything.
usually, I'm a dad, two kids. Santa's
Yeah.
never really that good to me.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Um, I mean, Christmas. Ever since I've had kids, Christmas
Yeah.
is like
Yeah. Yeah.
hyper focused on them.
Hmm.
Not that I want it to be any other way. I don't. I'll buy my. I'm Chris from Luxury
Watch that.
Bazaar. I've been talking to him a lot over the past week and a
Hmm.
half, and we're working out something,
Ooh.
and we're gonna see what happens. So we'll see. I'm trying to find. I'm buying a Grail watch this year, and it's definitely going to be something big for me. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited. Yeah.
So is there any other pieces that you are looking, or is it just a matter of like
So
things pop up?
in the next year, I want to buy a vintage 50 Fathoms
Mm,
Aqualung, and I want to buy an HM5.
wow.
So those are the two watches I want to get this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I will have to sell some watches in that
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
process,
Of course. Yeah.
but I want to get that in the next year. And yeah. Well, I already gave it away, Chris. I'm sorry. So that's where I'm at, and
Yeah.
I've been working with him a little bit, and we're trying to figure out something, but um,
Well, man, best of luck with that. I don't know what next year is going to bring, but I'm always holding out hope that I get a call for a Pepsi, but we'll see about that. That may or may not happen. A Speedy is interesting as well. I'm also now hooked on high horology at a discount, right? And not necessarily pick up a high horology piece because it's on a discount, or because it's highly cheap. I don't want to buy something that I'm not really interested in. Of course, but
Yeah,
you know, being emboldened by this, I feel like there's certain brands that maybe over the next 6 months could take even a bigger hit. Brands that take a hit initially, in the pre-owned market, but are not maybe may take an extensive hit over the next couple of years, next couple of months as the economy kind of slows
yeah,
up a little bit. And assuming that I have the funds to do it or sell the watches that I have to do it. I mean, I'm not gonna you know uh, get over my skis financially for anything, but just keeping an eye out. You know.
yeah. I mean, I mean, Roger Dubuis.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the earlier watches that they made now, and I don't know if those prices are going to change, but it's insane what's going on with a lot of those watches. I've been a fan. I've been on board for a very, very long time with them, and now I feel like people are starting to notice that those earlier watches are amazing,
Yeah.
and their current watches aren't so. They're kind of RM
Mm-hmm.
wannabes,
Mm-hmm.
but the earlier watches with the hand finished Lamagna
Mm-hmm.
movements that are and like just bonkers.
Yeah.
They they're really amazing. And the original homage is an insane watch, and those prices have been creeping up and
Yeah.
up and up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's where I feel that Monegasque is in between. That's why I really love that watch. But
Yeah.
yes, I'm always on the lookout for that. I'm always that's why the like the watch that's on your wrist, a brand that you probably would never buy any other watch
Nope.
from them in their catalog, but that little watch has got so much packed into it that makes it something very, very special from a
Yeah.
brand that made pretty weird and unappealing watches.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh, Steve Time Hill will get the final word here. Great stream. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Chris. Thank you to the chat. Happy holidays to everyone. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. 10-7. So, Chris, have a good one, man. Enjoy the time with the family. And I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you coming on. And happy holidays. Have a great new year, man. Take care.
Thank you guys. Thank you, chat.
Good night,
See you
everyone.
soon. Happy holidays.